Alright guys, I am gonna do a let's do 10 unanswered true crime mysteries.
Yeah, a win feels good. But you know what feels better? A BetMGM win.
Jamie Foxx.
Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're looking at our pick of 10 unanswered true crime mysteries.
The Cooper mystery and legend have not died with time. The tales still roll through these stories, and their rumors persist.
For this list, we'll be puzzling over infamous true crime cases in history. Which of these unanswered mysteries leaves you scratching your head? Let us know in the comments. Number 10. Escape from Alcatraz. Alcatraz Federal Penitentiary was a heavily fortified prison isolated on an island and surrounded by cold water with strong currents. For these reasons, Alcatraz was considered inescapable.
We weren't sent here for our crimes that we committed out in that free world. Technically, we were sent here for crimes that we committed in other penitentiaries.
But all that changed on the night of June 11th, 1962. Clarence Anglin, John Anglin, and Frank Morris fooled prison guards with papier-mâché dummy heads and successfully broke out of the prison.
These are the actual heads they made, carefully preserved in the prison archives and rarely seen.
The inmates constructed an inflatable raft from their prison-issued raincoats, which they pushed out into the waves, never to be seen again. Although the FBI closed its case in 1979, concluding that the escapees most likely drowned in the freezing waters, no conclusive evidence exists to support that.
They mainly cite the fact that after all these years, someone would have come forward or left a message.
Clarence couldn't eat a tuna fish sandwich without telling everybody at the table about it. They were loudmouths, boastful, braggy.
There have been reported sightings of the men around the world.
There was a lead that was chased down in Brazil. We were told again by a tipster that they had in fact seen these individuals at a bar in Brazil.
Number 9. Disembodied feet.
While it stretches one's imagination, I can certainly tell you that I've never run across something like this.
In August of 2007, a young girl discovered a sneaker with a full human foot inside on the shore of a beach in British
Oh, I
Columbia.
remember that day.
This subsequently led to a series of discoveries of other human feet in shoes on coasts in British Columbia and Washington in the United States.
This could be a serial killer, somebody who right now is underneath the radar.
The physical anthropologist cautioned that while the spate of discoveries was new and startling, public awareness could have prompted people to pay attention to stray running shoes.
At least 20 feet have been discovered, with the most recent at the time of writing being found on New Year's Day 2019. Most of the detached feet have been identified and linked to missing people, leading to speculation that they belonged to people who jumped off a bridge at some point, with investigations still ongoing. The exact source of the severed limbs remains a mystery.
There are still far more questions than answers. Are these cases connected? How did the people die? And how many more feet are out there still to be found?
Number 8. The death of Edgar Allan Poe.
We don't have a single piece of information about what he was doing.
Prolific writer and critic Edgar Allan Poe led a remarkable life that came to a mystifying end on October 7th, 1849. 10 days prior, Poe embarked on a journey from Richmond, Virginia to New York City, but was later found in Baltimore, Maryland. He was in a state described as, quote, beastly intoxication, and wearing tattered clothes that did not belong to him. Poe was barely coherent and never could explain what exactly had happened to him.
He said he was talking to phantasms on the wall in a feverish delivery. And then, of course, early Sunday morning, October the 7th, about 5 o'clock in the morning, he regained consciousness. God help my poor soul.
Then he died 4 days later. Several theories for his delirium and subsequent death exist, including severe depression. Another possibility was a form of electoral fraud called cooping, where victims were forcefully given alcohol and made to vote for a particular party.
Although others did speculate that he may have contracted rabies from an infected cat's bite.
Number 7. The mystery of the Mary Celeste. In November 1872, the Mary Celeste embarked on her most eventful voyage with Captain Benjamin Briggs, his wife and daughter, and 7 crew members aboard. About a month later, the Mary Celeste was found floating unsteadily on the Atlantic Ocean.
The Mary Celeste took her secrets to a watery grave. In her wake, speculation, wild guesses, and many theories were proposed, none fitting all the facts or provable by any means.
None of the occupants were on board, but their personal belongings and the ship's cargo were fully intact. The ship's only lifeboat had been taken, and the last daily log was dated 9 days prior.
The men found working charts, but not the ship's papers, nor her navigational instruments or maps. Otherwise, personal effects did not seem to be disturbed.
Although there were no signs of foul play, investigators touted a mutiny by the crew or piracy by other ship crews as possible explanations for the mystery.
But the riddle of that ill-fated voyage in 1872 will haunt us forever. The mystery of the Mary Celeste will live on.
Number 6. The Chicago Tylenol murders. This case is the reason we now have tamper-resistant pill bottles. In September of 1982, the Chicago metropolitan area was shaken by the deaths of 7 people who recently ingested Tylenol pills.
People were terrorized. They didn't know what product they had in their home that could possibly be lethal if they ingested it.
An investigation revealed that the pills had been laced with potassium cyanide. The manufacturer, Johnson & Johnson, stopped further Tylenol production and recalled about 31 million bottles from around the country.
A case that literally changed the way Americans shop. The Tylenol scare prompted the nation's first mass recall of a retail product. Tamper-proof medicines now a fact of life.
Multiple copycat attacks occurred afterwards, resulting in more deaths. But these were largely curbed with the bottle packaging reforms.
The FBI feared that this case would wind up like the Chicago Tylenol murders just a few years earlier. A case which has never been solved.
To this day, no one has ever been charged with orchestrating the tragic poisonings. Number 5. The Wall Street bombing. It was lunchtime on Thursday, September 16th, 1920. Business people, brokers, messengers, and clerks walked up and down the busy financial district in Manhattan, New York. A horse-drawn wagon pulled up just across the street from the J.P. Morgan building, and the driver quickly deserted the scene. Shortly after, the carriage blew up into tiny fragments, killing 38 people and injuring several hundred more.
It's not at all clear who might be responsible. So many people out there had a grudge against Wall Street that people wondered, well, it could be any one of these forces, which of course increases the anxiety even more.
Dead set on opening back up for business the next day, crews were hired to clean up the rubble overnight, thereby ruining potentially valuable evidence.
Experts examined the bomb fragments, but no one ever found out who set off the bomb.
Hundreds of people were interviewed in the course of a 3-year investigation that yielded little to no useful information, and the case was closed without identifying the bombers.
The case remains unsolved. The location of the attack suggests the central target was the J.P. Morgan Bank, and the captains of finance had worked inside. In that regard, it failed.
Number 4. The disappearance of the Sodders. The story of the Sodder family and the fire that engulfed their West Virginia home in 1945 is indeed a mysterious one. Around 1:30 a.m. that morning on Christmas Eve, Jenny Sodder was awoken by the smell of smoke. She escaped the house with her husband George and 4 of their children. The other 5 remained upstairs and were initially believed to have burnt to ash along with the house. However, no human remains were found in the ruins, leading the authorities to conclude that they were completely cremated by the fire. Based on certain questionable factors and reported sightings, the remaining members of the Sodder family believed then, and still do, that they never died in the fire. Number 3. The Gardner Museum heist.
finished cuffing me, and he cuffed my partner, and very dramatically said, "Gentlemen, this is a robbery."
In the Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum in Boston, Massachusetts, several empty frames hang in between the many valuable art pieces. These empty frames also once held valuable artworks, which were stolen on the night of March 18, 1990. At 1:24 a.m. that morning, two men dressed in police uniforms entered the museum.
Thieves came in and they spoke to the guard briefly. They got him to get his partner downstairs. And once the two guards were together in the watch desk area, the police officer basically told them that they were under arrest and to assume the position.
They successfully carted away 13 art pieces valued at over $500 million.
The paintings themselves, everybody knows about it, so you can't sell them on the market.
With minimal DNA evidence and a host of unreliable witnesses and informants, the FBI's investigation remains open to this day. The museum set a $10 million reward for information leading to the recovery of the artwork.
The Gardner's stolen treasures may be lost to the entire world.
Number 2, the death of JonBenet Ramsey.
We are kidnapping. Hurry, please. Explain to me what's going on. Are you Kathy Ramsey? I'm the mother. Oh my God. Please. I'm okay. Sending an officer over, okay?
On the morning of December 26, 1996, John and Patsy Ramsey found a ransom note on the staircase. The note demanded money in exchange for the return of beauty queen JonBenet. She was then reported missing by her mother, Patsy.
The note told her, "Don't call the police, your daughter will die." But Patsy called 911.
Hours later, JonBenet's body was found in the basement by her father, John. Due to multiple people dropping by the house following the discovery of the ransom note, the crime scene was contaminated and potential evidence destroyed. The note remains perhaps the most critical and perplexing piece of evidence in the ongoing murder investigation.
The person that wrote that note shows his personality in it. Very rude and very vicious.
The case quickly became a media sensation, and all members of the Ramsey family were considered suspects at some point.
The mystery around it is capturing worldwide attention. Reporters from Australia are involved. British newspapers and television are carrying the story, and the tabloids will too in their next editions. In yet another unusual twist in this unusual and tragic case.
Sadly, to this day, the question of who took the innocent JonBenet's life remains unanswered. Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications. Number 1, the murders of Jack the Ripper. It's a mystery that has confounded the world for well over a century. The reign of terror unleashed on East London by the serial killer infamously known as Jack the Ripper resulted in the deaths of 5 women, known as the Canonical Five. However, it is speculated that the total number may be as high as 11.
The murders shocked the Victorian world with their brutality, and the world's most famous serial killer came into being.
In a move that would go on to inspire other notorious killers, cryptic letters were sent to the police and the media taunting their investigations. Most of the letters proved to be hoaxes, though.
The police investigation, generally speaking, was handled as well as it could be. It's difficult to know what else they could have done. They basically just did everything that they possibly could, but there were no clues.
The case of Jack the Ripper became a worldwide media frenzy, and despite countless theories and possible suspects named, the true identity of the gruesome killer remains unknown.
As a consequence, the murders are now turned almost into a street pantomime, and 5 sordid East End murders became an international phenomenon, and the unknown miscreant responsible for those murders was elevated to the realm of legend.
Do you agree with our picks? Check out this other recent clip from Watch Mojo, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell.
Alright guys, I will see you my the one, so I see you then.